Thank you. Let me start by acknowledging what an honor this is for me. I'm not an academic or a researcher, and neither am I very well versed in research. The only thing that somewhat capacitates me to be part of this panel is this very small initiative that I run, which works in only 2 madrasas in Dhaka City. The project I represent today is called Leap to Boundaries, and it aims to integrate boys and girls into the mainstream by increasing their visibility on mainstream platforms where they're typically underrepresented. So for me, this is a welcome opportunity to educate myself more than anything else. I think one of the major crises that I dealt with when I started the project was that there was so little information on this medium. And that's part of the reason I was motivated to start Leaping Boundaries. I started the project because I read an article on the Daily Star, which was interestingly the only positive take that I'd ever read on madrasas until then. It was on Arya Madrasas, and until then I'd never really thought about this medium of education much. So I started it in 2012 as an English language tutorial program for madrasa students. And it was voluntary, I didn't have an NGO back then. The reason I think I started it as an English language tutorial program is because I graduated from an English medium school, so I thought, I think I got stuck somewhere in an English-only zone. Looking back, that was silly. The project shut down 7 months after because of the political crisis that happened in 2013. And it's a good thing that it did, because then it gave me the opportunity to look at the problem for what it really is. And the problem as I see it now is that these students don't have access to apolitical, religious platforms where they can represent themselves. And the way I see it is that everyone really wants is to be seen. For these students, remaining unseen results in a kind of identity crisis that's been brought up in various discussions. Who am I? Where do I belong? Am I a Muslim Bengali? Am I a Bangladeshi Muslim? Am I traditional? Am I modern? Who am I? So that's what we work towards now. We work towards resolving this crisis. And the way we do this is by giving them access to platforms so that they become more visible, so that their sense of identities and self-worth is reaffirmed. And to ensure that they're able to represent themselves effectively, we build their capacity in 3 different components, starting with the English language, moving on to soft skills, and then most recently we're starting the computer programming classes for our girls. So we also give them psychosocial support in order to help them develop a coping mechanism. We currently work in 2 madrasas, as I mentioned before. They're both aliyas. They cater to about 200 students in total, about 120 of whom are girls, between the ages of 12 to 14, which is, again, a very critical age. One of the schools is a co-ed, which means that there are both boys and girls in the madrasa, but they don't sit in classes together. And the other is an all-girls madrasa. So when we started working, at the beginning, we targeted boys and girls equally. We shifted our focus to girls because of 2 reasons. One is access. As a woman, it was easier for me, and then the other is need. Firstly, I find that women in the administration make the job of convincing the need for development and progress much easier, which is the case at Madinatul Ulum, the all-girls madrasa. One of the students from Madinatul Ulum is actually sitting in the audience today. So these girls have been represented on various platforms. One is the Bangladesh Youth Leadership Center's BYLC's Building Bridges to Leadership Training Program, which does work with madrasa, but they have had trouble reaching girls from this particular sector. And the other big platform that they've been represented on is the channelized Shorno Kishori, which raises awareness about menstruation and menstrual hygiene. So the girl who is the Shorno Kishori of Dhaka division last year was from actually Madinatul Ulum. Her name is Aisha. The girls from Madrasa International, after a very intense tug of war with the administration, were represented at a plenary organized by Friendship Bangladesh on Global Dignity Day, where they talked about what hindered and restored their dignity. Unfortunately, because there is a lack of strong-willed women in administrative roles in madrasas, the project hasn't expanded much. The second reason that we've shifted our focus to girls' madrasas is because I find that the visibility or the need for visibility is actually greater in these with girls. And which is why we see that with the girls' madrasa, they're quite vocal about their needs as well. When we did our first needs assessment with them for psychosocial support about a few months back, they reported feeling that they don't have a medium of self-expression. They have also repeatedly expressed not having a creative outlet. So to provide them with that space, we recently did an art workshop with them just last week, facilitated by an emerging artist. It was themed around Women's Day, and we asked the girls to illustrate how they feel about being women. How do they see themselves as women? So while some of them saw themselves as half-filled glasses of water, some of them saw themselves as trees, some of them were wild waterfalls, some of them were caged birds. So they came up with all kinds of different diverse expressions of how they saw themselves. So this afternoon, actually, we will be showcasing 16 of the most creative pieces at an exhibition today at Leela. And you're almost welcome to join us. Please do. I think the biggest challenge we face in society today is fear. And when I work in this field, I see two kinds of fear that dominate. One is the fear of questioning. So the children in this medium are unable to raise questions about religion to their peers, teachers, or even parents because they're afraid of being judged, of being condemned, of not feeling good enough or pious enough. That's the internal fear. The second is a fear of being questioned. So there's a fear of being misunderstood by outsiders because they belong to madrasas. They know that they're different, probably because we've made them feel different. And they're very aware that there's a certain fear-driven narrative that is being built around them right now. Granted that this applies much more to Qawmi madrasas than Alia, the general public actually does not differentiate between the two. So they aren't quite sure if to tell people that they are graduating from madrasas for fear of a reaction. And finally, when we say that we work with madrasas, we're with two kinds of reactions. People either laugh at us, not with us. I wish they laughed with us. Or they're very suspicious of us, or they're fearful of us. So what we're hoping for is a world where we don't differentiate between us and them. And we're working on producing a kind of counter-narrative that's not ours, that's theirs, where they come forward and tell their own stories. So misunderstandings from both groups can be clarified. And as we interact with each other more frequently, as we see more of each other, we hope that this fear will disappear. So discussions such as this are extremely important and necessary to generate conversations, if not answers. So I'm very grateful to Samyapa and Georgetown University's Berkley Center for Religion, Peace and World Affairs and World Faiths Development Dialogue and the Department of Economics and Social Sciences at BRAC University for starting these much needed conversations. And I hope that these conversations will continue. Thank you.